So, if you've been anywhere near crypto Twitter lately, you have probably seen the headline screaming that Google can now crack Bitcoin in just 9 minutes. I mean, that sounds absolutely terrifying, right? So, is it true? Is it time to panic? Well, we're going to cut right through all that noise and explain what's really going on with this whole quantum threat to crypto.
We're going to break this all down into 5 simple parts. First, we'll talk about that headline that has everyone worked up. Then, we'll get into the actual risk, put this whole thing on a realistic timeline, which is super important, and then look at how the crypto world is planning to fight back. And finally, we'll give you a simple checklist of things you can do right now to be prepared.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the source of all this buzz. It really all kicked off with one pretty alarming claim. This is the kind of headline that just spreads like wildfire. And look, it is based on a real research paper, but it is missing some pretty massive context. The reality is way more nuanced, so let's actually unpack what these researchers really found.
You know, this paper wasn't just some random blog post. It was actually co-authored by some of the top minds from Google's quantum AI team, the Ethereum Foundation, and even Stanford. These guys weren't trying to start a panic. They were just mapping out a challenge for the future.
So to really get the risk here, you got to understand the basics of how your wallet is protected in the first place. It uses something called elliptic curve cryptography. Now, the best way to think about it is like mixing paint. Imagine you take 2 very specific secret colors, mix them together, and you get a brand new, unique color. It's super easy to do that, but it's almost impossible to just look at that final mixed color and figure out the exact 2 secret colors that went into it. Your private key is like those 2 original colors, and your public address is the final mix. Today's computers just can't unmix the paint.
And here it is. This is the bombshell from the paper. See, before this, experts thought a quantum computer would need around 20 million qubits to break crypto's math. You can just think of qubits as the horsepower for a quantum engine. Well, this new research drops that number all the way down to 500,000. That's a 20 times more efficient engine, and that, my friends, is what got everyone's attention.
And this is where that whole 9 minutes thing comes from. The paper modeled a very specific attack, where a future quantum computer could figure out a Bitcoin private key in about 9 minutes. So why does that number matter? Well, it's faster than Bitcoin's 10-minute block time. So in theory, an attacker could literally snatch your funds while they're in the middle of a transaction before it even gets confirmed.
So, how much of the crypto world is actually at risk from this theoretically? For Bitcoin, it's about 1/3 of the total supply. That's 6.9 million coins sitting in addresses where the public key is already visible on the blockchain. We're talking older addresses or any address that's been reused. The rest, for now, is safe because those public keys haven't been revealed yet. Now, for Ethereum, the picture's a bit more serious. The paper laid out 5 different ways an attacker could strike, putting over $100 billion at risk. And here's why. Unlike with Bitcoin, an Ethereum address permanently exposes its public key after the very first transaction you make. That just makes a much, much bigger slice of the network theoretically vulnerable down the road.
All right, we've laid out the potential threat. It sounds pretty serious. But before anybody rushes to sell their crypto, let's just get some perspective here. Because the most important question isn't what could happen, it's when.
This slide right here really puts it all into perspective. To pull off this kind of attack, you need a quantum computer with about 500,000 stable qubits. Google's absolute best, most powerful quantum computer today. It has 105. That is a 5,000 times power gap. It's like someone proving a car could theoretically go 10,000 miles per hour. But nobody's even close to building that engine yet. It just doesn't exist.
So what does the real timeline look like? Well, most experts agree we are looking at the mid-2030s at the very earliest for a computer this powerful. I mean, even Google itself is just targeting 2029 to make its own systems quantum resistant. The bottom line here is, this is a challenge for the next decade, not for tomorrow.
But there is a sneaky risk we need to talk about. It's this idea called harvest now, decrypt later. Since all the blockchain data is public, bad actors could be downloading all that exposed public key data right now. They just hoard it, sit on it for years, and wait until a quantum computer powerful enough to crack it finally exists. This is exactly why good security habits matter today, not just in the future.
The good news in all of this is that the industry is not just sitting around and waiting for this to happen. There are a lot of really smart people already building the defenses for this future threat.
Ethereum and Bitcoin are, maybe unsurprisingly, taking different paths. Ethereum is moving really fast. They've got a dedicated team, a target of 2029 for major upgrades.
Bitcoin is being much more slow and deliberate. A first step, called BIP 360, is in the works, but a full migration could take way longer, just because of its super decentralized nature.
And you know, this really isn't just a crypto problem. The U.S. government standards body, NIST, has already finalized new quantum-proof encryption standards. Coinbase has a quantum advisory board. Even Google was really careful about this. They used what's called responsible disclosure, meaning they didn't just publish a step-by-step guide on how to pull off an attack. Everyone is taking this very seriously.
Okay, so we've covered the threat, the real timeline, and what the industry is doing about it. Now, let's make this personal. What can you do to get ready?
Thankfully, the best steps you can take to protect yourself are actually pretty simple security practices that, honestly, you should probably be doing anyway.
Here's your 4-step action plan. Number 1, and this is by far the most important, stop reusing wallet addresses. Modern wallets will create a new one for you every single time. Let them do it. Second, if you have old funds and addresses that you sent from before, just move them to a fresh, new one. Third, always keep your wallet software updated so you get all the latest security patches. And finally, stay informed but don't be anxious. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Let's be really clear here. Crypto has survived exchange collapses, massive crashes, regulatory battles, you name it. Upgrading its core math is a huge engineering challenge for sure, but it is a solvable one. The biggest takeaway from all of this should be that this is a future problem with a present-day solution. This is not some existential crisis, it's just the next evolution of the space. The projects to start preparing now are going to be the ones that lead the next decade of innovation. So stay informed, stay secure, and trade with confidence. Thanks for joining us.